Hey Kaushik, thank you so much for joining us. Having you is always a pleasure, right? Appreciate your time taking out and talking to us. Um, Kaushik, I have a couple of questions from you. One is like you have built Grab Digibank right from the ground up. What kind of challenges you faced right in the beginning?
So right at the beginning, we were very focused on in the user, because the opportunity we had is we were the first wave of digital banks in Malaysia. So we had the opportunity to really go and have a lot of conversations with users and what their pain points were. We almost interviewed close to 4,000 users in different formats. What they clearly told us is actually basics will make us win. They complained about branch-based onboarding. Even when there was onboarding available on the mobile app, typically it took a lot of time. It had a lot of fields. It had a lot of friction. So we knew doing basics will make us win. So we were focused on how do we make it easier and how do we make it simpler for the user. The next challenge was, okay, we know this, but we don't have a national digital infrastructure here. So we call it like, the digital public infrastructure that you have gotten used to in markets like Singapore or India and China. It was absent. But we still had to build a digital bank. The comparison set is, and we used to joke about it in office, it was like e-wallet service, the traditional banks of trust. So what do we have? So we came up with this term, say we have play, right? So the first principle of play is to make it easy. But at the same time, the banking is ultimately built on trust. So trying to find that balance between trust and experience without having that infrastructure was the biggest challenge. So the one thing we were clear on is how do we find like-minded organizations who are again tech-led, data-led, who we can partner, and whether they have the right model to support us, and that's how we found you.
Oh, great.
That actually built that right to first principles, right? And when we started, it's all about the user, all about getting basics right, and finding the right kind of partners who can build this together with you for the everyday Malaysian.
So onboarding has been a key factor from a journey perspective, right? Because that's the time that you acquire a customer to monetize it in future. When you were looking for several tech partners, you said like you chose Onfido. What did you see in Onfido and that really you felt that, this is my right technology partner who can actually help me building the first digital bank in Malaysia?
So essentially, I will answer that question at two levels. At the evaluation stage, because we knew onboarding is so existential to the existence of this new digital bank that we were building, we did a very rigorous job of first establishing what are the archetypes available, right? And then who are the providers within those archetypes. So archetype 1 was generally our onboarding solution, which is completely based on machines. And the archetype 2 was a human-assisted machine model. So we very quickly figured out that if we have to build bank-level trust and a fintech-level experience, we need to choose hybrid. So we zeroed in on hybrid as our solution, and then we essentially evaluated Onfido with a couple of other providers who were doing hybrid, and we chose Onfido at that time. This is what we believed was better, more rigorous algorithms, which was being exhibited by large issuers choosing. You didn't have a single bank. It was at that time on the assessment, it was a question which was posed to the team which was evaluating. But we took the call based on your stack and what you were doing with large issuers in the other parts of the world. But later, as we moved into implementation, right, now we have been live for almost 7-8 months, and we have onboarded close to 750,000 of customers, right, 500,000 cards. I think we chose very well. And what we did not understand at that stage is ultimately technology is powered by people. And I work with many vendor partners, right? Like you are blessed with a good set of people who are interested in solving problems with us for the actual result. So that would be my reasons to continue to choose Onfido. Because it's a decision that you take at every contract expiry date, right?
Yeah.
So we continue to love your team and what they can do, the technology coming to help us help our users. So those are the main reasons why we chose Onfido, and we continue to love to actually work with you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to hear about this one. So, Kaushik, recently we have heard, and that information is in public now, that you have won the Best KYC Provider Award from a digital banking perspective. Anything that you want to share, that what do you think, because it's not about Onfido, you also built a great journey, and how Onfido was implemented in the KYC journey that gave you the confidence to go and nominate yourself and then compete as a best awardee in the Malaysia market.
So essentially, the partner, right, helped us do what we set out to do, which is balance the experience with the risk, right? What we are very proud of achieving along with Onfido is the fact that ultimately, right, awards are a different mechanism, but essentially the fact that we have 750k plus users, right, is proof of the fact that it's working. And we are perhaps 10-20 times the size of any other digital bank in the country, right? On the award evaluation, what came out very clearly to me was the fact that they loved the fact that we are actually doing something based on an AI/ML model, which was human assisted, achieving close to 90% straight through with a FAR levels of less than 1%. So ultimately, the combination of the sheer velocity of the user acquisition, plus the fact that all the parameters that matter, like how many straight through onboarding, what's your drop-off rates, what's your FAR rates from a regulatory risk perspective, all of those were right at the peak of what we have seen in this market. So it's a little bit of a, I won't say it's a kickback, right? But the evaluating panel was really impressed with what we have been able to do together.
Wow, this is fantastic to hear. In fact, those numbers are really thrilling. And it's a combination of your creating the seamless journey for your customers, at the same time, we coming as a technology and AI provider to help and support you. From here on, what do you see? What do you think that Onfido can actually help you for the next 2 to 3 years or to 4 years? Being the best digital bank, though you are the best digital bank, but I'm sure there's so many other digital banks that are trying to acquire license and go in public from a launch perspective. What do you think, how Onfido can help and support as being the right supplier for you to, navigate the right ecosystem?
So Malaysia is embarking on a digital identity journey. Where I sit today, I think it's going to take us a minimum of 3 to 5 years in a very optimistic way. So we will have to rely on you to power our onboarding for sure. So it's a given, right? Unless unless and until something else happens which are beyond my imagination. But where I see you playing a role is authentication, and authentication is not just at onboarding, right? So we also use your solution, the MFS selfie, for actually stepping up authentication for high-risk transactions.
Right.
So I see that increasingly becoming a dominant use case as we go from growth to more maturity.
Absolutely.
And there, as long as the solution keeps evolving and keeps 20 steps ahead of the syndicated frauds which will keep attacking us, and we can do that at a sustainable manner for both partners, I see that future to be together. It's not just only about onboarding. It's going to be about how you think about incorporating biometric authentication into the challenge process as the client does their transactions and goes through the overall life cycle of the client with the bank. So that's how I see the relationship.
Perfect. I think last question from my side. You have touched upon very important element that how the shift is happening towards biometrics, and that is being key essential for people to use omni-channel experience to leverage across products. What do you see? Where have you enabled the journey for your end customers from a biometric product from Onfido, and how are you ensuring them that this is a completely hassle-free, but yet you have got so much of security in place in order to onboard them?
So right now, the biometric solution is embedded in all our payment transactions and all our high-risk transactions. So as far BNM regulations are concerned, anything that a user does on its app, which is attributed as high risk or medium risk, we need to have a step of authentication. So in our cadence with our regulator, we very quickly figured out that from a regulatory perspective, even from a user perspective, biometric is the most frictionless and the least risk option for us. So we have embedded that into our entire management of clients' transactions and so anything that a client wants to do today, say send a high value transaction of 50,000 ringgit. So the payment transaction will be authenticated by us actually rendering the selfie match, which is powered by you.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's what we have already done. So like the user's interaction, right, with the bank on a day-to-day basis. And because we've also done modeling, our business model is a little different. We don't see the bank as a store of value. We have actually built a bank to be a bank which enables Malaysians to save, spend and borrow. So we have very significantly better spend use cases, right, that we offer to our clients, and we see a very high transaction payment activity levels. So almost 60% of my customers are doing transactions with me on a monthly basis. So imagine, even if 10% of those transactions is stepped up, is where the real, the aha moment comes. And we get a lot of positive feedback from users, from regulator on this, making it less friction and less risk. So it's like a aha moment, right? Like if you have less risk and less friction, people love it. And because nobody else is doing it, right? And we also have that softer element, the halo effect, saying, digital bank has brought in a new set of experiences, right, for the users to enjoy. So we love that product. We obviously know that product is going to have even higher adoption as the bank scales, right? So what we need to find out is how to keep ahead of the fraudsters and the syndicate. So that's what we need to work with.
And it's such a nice to hear that you think you have embedded a right excellent journey for your customer, and you understand the value of our partnership. One last question. You have heard that Onfido is being acquired by Entrust, and we have gone back today and spoken about that what Entrust offers. What do you see this Onfido Entrust value for you in future?
I guess phenomenal value, because at the end of the day, we do have a partner. The partner's well-being is of interest to us. So what I understood, I did not know about Entrust before, but now being made aware of what they do, what I see is essentially a authentication security credentials company with deep expertise in their chosen areas and a long history. And I see this as a sign of stability, right, for Onfido to keep powering our solutions forward. And hopefully, right, we should also be able to get some of the Entrust products into our platform whenever feasibility works and it solves something for our users.
Thank you, Kaushik. Really appreciate that. It was lovely talking to you, lovely hosting you. We will see you again. And congratulations for winning this award, and all the very best for the next financial year.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.